Good evening from Joliet, Illinois, and Joliet Memorial Stadium, the home of the University of St. Francis Fighting Saints. We're getting set to open up a big matchup between St. Francis and the visiting Cougars of St. Xavier University, two of the top teams so far this season in the CCAC. I'm Terry Bonadonna on the call for today's matchup as the Saints look to stay hot. They're trying to win their fourth consecutive match after winning their first three this month. Close wins at Holy Cross and at Viterbo, with a blowout victory here at home against Mount Mary about a week and a half ago. St. Xavier comes in on a cold stretch. They have not won since September 27th. Since then, no wins, one loss, three ties. So they've been able to get some results and get some points, keep themselves alive for that conference championship. But they have not gotten a victory since the month of September. We'll see if they're able to turn things around today against a very tough team. St. Francis comes in with an overall record of 8-2-2. In conference play, they're 5-1-1. St. Xavier 5-4-4 overall in the CCAC. 4 wins, 1 loss, 3 ties, and we're underway as the Fighting Saints take the opening kick. St. Francis is going from left to right, wearing silver and gold today. St. Xavier is in black. They're going from right to left. Shooting into the north goal. Saints are shooting southward. Fighting Saints try to make a push down the middle of the field. It's halted for the time being, and the Cougars are able to get it downfield. Veronica Davila is the one who's able to get the initial clearance as they send it deep down the sideline and out of bounds. Long chase from Alex Janitis. Can't get to it. St. Francis throw in as we look at the starters for today's game. For the Fighting Saints, it's Michelle Palayo, Jasmine Vaez, Kelly Flores, Litzy Flores, Ari Gonzalez, Mia Okana, Sitlali Perez, Cara Planeta, Andrea Aguirre, Isabel Diaz, and the goalkeeper is Giselle Mata. I'll give you her numbers in just a moment. Haley Henry tracks it down for the Cougars and passes it off to Hope Lewis to her right. St. Xavier sends it to the opposite side of the field. The freshman midfielder Paige Swaw tries to turn it up. Not able to find any room. Well defended by the Fighting Saints, and ultimately the Cougars lose the ball out of bounds along the sideline. Starters for St. Xavier today include Paige Swaw, Claire Heim, Stephanie Quevedo, Alex Janitis, Veronica Davila, Haley Henry, Maddie Mansky, Hope Lewis, Lexi Shreve, and Vicky Ferrer. Their goalkeeper is Natalie Dybus, and I'll tell you more about her in just a moment as well. But first, a little bit of a run for the Cougars. Deflected, knocked away by St. Francis, and the Saints are able to clear it out of harm's way. Goalkeepers in today's match are two of the best in the CCAC. No score just 2 minutes into the matchup tonight. Natalie Dybus has 3 shutouts this year. She's allowed 17 goals and made 67 saves. That's a .798 save percentage for the season. She allows an average of 1.42 per contest. Cougars try to make their way down the sideline. Stepping in, Mia Okana is able to come up with the stop. Kelly Flores tries to keep the ball rolling for St. Francis, but the Cougars are able to take it back away. And it is St. Xavier again, moving from right to left. Starting goalie for St. Francis, Giselle Mata, has started every game but one this year for the Fighting Saints. In her 11 games played, she's got 5 shutouts. She's allowed only 9 goals and made 77 saves. As far as starting goalkeepers are concerned in the CCAC, Mata is one of only 2 to not have allowed double-digit goals this year. 9 goals allowed, 77 saves. It's an .895 save percentage. She allows a paltry 0.82 goals per game. Going St. Xavier's way, we're 3.5 minutes in. Fighting Saints get a throw in, near sideline. Tossed in by Cara Planeta and deflected right back out of bounds. Planeta will throw it in again. Immediately deflected right back out of bounds. Planeta, the defender, steps way up. Tosses right in front of her. Mia Okana trying to clear space. Knocked out again. And this time it's Okana who will do the throw in. Saints go deep into the corner. Knocked loose by the St. Xavier defense and pushed back towards the sideline. We've got another throw in coming up for the Fighting Saints. Deflected back and forth, out of bounds, and the Saints will do it again. What is this, their fifth, I think, in a row? Fifth consecutive throw in from essentially the same spot on the field. Not a whole lot of action over the last minute. We'll see if that changes here. It does, but in a bad way for St. Francis as the Cougars are able to get the ball defensively and send it to the opposite end of the field. Up near midfield, it's pushed across. Saints fight to get back on defense, and they're able to put themselves in position. Everybody on sides for the Cougars. Pushed to the middle of the field and easily intercepted by Planeta. Pushed ahead to Okana. Two of them are the only ones who have touched the ball lately for St. Francis. Finally, Citlali Perez does a little dribbling. Knocked ahead to Ari Gonzalez. Gonzalez can't control it off of her second touch. St. Xavier back in possession. Just over 5 minutes into today's match. St. Francis trying to pick up consecutive win number 4 today. Haven't lost since September 27th. A close 1-goal defeat at St. Ambrose. Or at home, I should say, against St. Ambrose. And that remains their only loss in conference play this year. First place team in the CCAC. Passed off to Veronica Davila for St. Xavier. Passed up the middle of the field where it's knocked free by the Fighting Saints. Good clearance by the Saints defense. Back into the box. Cleared again. We're just over 6 minutes into the game. No shots yet for either side. So the defenses have held strong so far. Don't just mean no shots on goal. No shots of any kind through the first 6.5. Okana passes it up the middle. Back to Flores along the outside. Passed in front of the box and deflected towards the corner. Cougars try to control it, and they do. Able to get it out of harm's way and knocked out of bounds. It'll be a St. Francis throw-in. Planeta's done a lot of that on this side of the field so far. This time, though, the second pass is intercepted. Booted forward by Andrea Aguirre. Good play by her, stepping up on defense. Fighting Saints in control again. Pushed ahead for Okana. They're able to weave it through. Okana there has the cross. The header is deflected right in front of the net and picked up by Natalie Dybas as the ball died right in front of her. There was only one Saint in the box on that play. A chance for a goal on a header. Good setup by Mia Okana, but not able to finish it off for the score. And we remain scoreless. 37.5 minutes to play in the first half. Cougars on the offensive, taking their time. Rolled towards the near sideline. Stephanie Quevedo. It's deflected out by St. Francis. Taken back by the Cougars. Rolled to the near sideline. Haley Henry passes back to Janitis. Janitis works her way between a couple of defenders. A good cross. Diving save by Mata. The ball still loose in front of the net. And St. Francis is able to get it out of harm's way. Great play by Giselle Mata, who makes her first save of the night on the first shot on goal tonight. Another chance for the Cougars. There's the cross, this time deflected. Poked into the air by the Fighting Saints towards the far sideline. Kept in bounds. The Cougars are still trying to regain possession in the attacking third of the field. They're able to do it. St. Xavier keeps possession alive. Only for a moment. It's knocked out of bounds. In the middle of the field, taken away by St. Francis. Not a lot of help in front of O'Connor, so she slows it down a touch. Now passed forward. Isabel Diaz, leading goal scorer for the Fighting Saints, works her way around one defender, and her pass is a little bit wide of her intended target. It rolls to the end line and out of bounds. St. Xavier taking their time up the far sideline. Almost 10 minutes into the game now. That's intercepted by the Fighting Saints. And they're able to control it on the defensive end. Pushed up to the midfield. Much as the Cougars did, the Saints are taking their time establishing this possession, but a wild pass, a little bit too far out in front. Rolls back into the box. It's kicked ahead by Natalie Dybas. Junior goalkeeper out of LaGrange, Illinois. Lyons Township High School. Wearing the pink jersey today. Maybe magenta. I'm going to go with magenta as the shade on that. Giselle Mata is in solid purple. Maybe violet for St. Francis. I don't know. We'll discuss shades later. Cougars are in black, I can tell you that for sure. And they've got possession of the ball. Pushed across midfield. Nobody else there on offense, so it's slowed down. Now the cavalry arrives, and the ball is kept in possession by the Cougars. Nice defensive play by the Saints. Knocked out of bounds far sideline. And the team in black was the last to touch it, so it's out of bounds off St. Xavier. And the Fighting Saints will get to push it upfield. Is a free kick for St. Francis, back up to midfield and headed immediately back the other direction. Fight for possession. Hasn't been won by either team definitively yet. Finally knocked out of bounds by the Saints. So the Cougars are the team that finally ends up with that possession. No score, almost 12 minutes in. Near sideline, it's Haley Henry. Henry taps it ahead. Chasing it down towards the corner is Maddie Mansky. Pass back to the corner of the box and intercepted. Taken away by St. Francis, but they lose it right back. Cougars have done a good job of winning possession, although a mistake that time. It's tapped out of bounds, and the Saints get to throw it in. Deflected right back out. Another throw in coming up. No score. Neither team has had a lot of chances on offense. St. Xavier had the best one of the game so far. On a good cross, but Giselle Mata was able to make an even better save. Fighting Saints have only had one real scoring threat so far. On a header that never quite reached the net. There's a header from the St. Francis defense, but right back St. Xavier's way. It's Mansky, unable to control it. The ball bounced in front of her right along the sideline. She tried to pull it in with the right foot, but succeeded only in rolling it further out of bounds. Little push in the back on the Cougars. Free kick coming up here for St. Francis. Will be taken by Andrea Aguirre. Deflected back by the defense of St. Xavier. They can't control it. Kelly Flores, the first one to touch it for the Fighting Saints. She's not able to maintain possession either. Here come the Cougars. Rolled down into the box. There's a shot right at Mata. And an easy save that time for Giselle Mata. It's her second save of the game. This one considerably less difficult than the first. "31 minutes to play in the first half. So we've played 14 so far. This is Haley Henry. Passed ahead to Mansky. Mansky has it knocked away by Diaz. And the Saints are able to keep it rolling. Nice play by O'Connor to push it ahead. Now Mia O'Connor on the run. O'Connor looking to cross over to the left. Passes out to the right instead. Taps back to the middle. Makes two defenders miss, but deflected on the third attempt. Stepping up with a shot. It's out of bounds. Wide to the left. And one of the best runs of the game for St. Francis comes up a little bit short. No shot on goal there. Fighting Saints did end up taking two shots towards the net. One of them was deflected. And then on the rebound, the second one went wide to the left and out of bounds. So no heavy lifting for Natalie Dybas, but her shutout remains intact. More than 15 minutes into the action. Just about a third of the way through the first half. Haley Henry makes her move for the Cougars. Tackled from behind. Good play by Kelly Flores. Planetta bounces it into the midfield circle. Diaz rolls it to the outside and back to Flores. Crossing the field. They're on the far sideline just past midfield. Chipped ahead towards the corner, and the Fighting Saints are going to let that one roll. No chance of reaching it. And so it's out for a St. Xavier throw-in. Another St. Francis attack is thwarted. This is Henry off the feed from Davila. Out of bounds off of Diaz. The throw-in is immediately intercepted by Cara Planetta. Here come the Fighting Saints. It's Ari Gonzalez working it ahead. Passed off to her left and a good tackle. Taken away by Vicky Ferrer. The Cougars have nowhere to go on that run. So their possession ends quickly. O'Connor takes it away. Good play by O'Connor. Mia O'Connor taps it back. Isabel Diaz works her way to midfield. Just out of the circle. Gonzalez rolls it off to her left. Fighting Saints hold it on the far sideline. Looking to gain some possession time here. That stat so far today has been pretty well controlled by the Cougars. Not a whole lot of action on this side of the field. Saints are trying to change that, but the ball gets away into the box and is easily scooped up by Dybas. Good deflection by Diaz, and once again, St. Francis is able to take it away. Gonzalez passes to her left. This is Flores. Kelly Flores takes a shot, deflected before it gets anywhere. Sent to the far side and out of bounds. Flores may have hesitated just a little bit too much right there. By the time she took the shot, a defender was in her way. She was at a tough spot on the field. Over 20 yards out would have been a difficult shot no matter what, whether there was a defender there or not. St. Francis has turned the tide a little bit, though. St. Xavier was really controlling possession earlier. Didn't have a ton of shots out of it, but they had a few. It seemed like they were setting up better chances consistently, and that's not been the case over the last few minutes. Saints on the move again right here. Pass was nearly deflected, but it's found its target and kept alive as it's rolled towards the edge of the box and cleared by the Cougars. Stepping all the way up from defense, Planeta keeps it alive for the Fighting Saints. Tackled off the foot of Diaz toward the sideline. Still in the Fighting Saints possession. A cross is deflected into the corner. Kept in bounds. Now fight for possession. Won by the Cougars. And they clear it. Kept in bounds along the far sideline. Knocked into the air and a whistle blows. Foul is called on St. Xavier. With the clock running down to 25 minutes, Fighting Saints get a free kick from 35 yards out, which is not a huge distance, but way to the left, right along the sideline. So we won't, I would imagine, see this on goal or even attempted. Chipped into the box. It bounces once, and that's all that's necessary for St. Xavier to clear it. Tracked down by Diaz. Back to the Saints. Diaz passes to her left. Controlled off the first touch. Looking for a cross. There's a shot instead, and the save is made on one bounce by Natalie Dybas, who has been challenged a little bit more lately than she was in the opening 15 or so minutes of the night. She's come through strong when she has been pushed. Fighting Saints foul gives a free kick to St. Xavier. That last shot was from Litzy Flores. First official, or make that the second. No, I think first is right. First official shot on goal of the night. Now the Cougars will try for one. Not on the free kick. Still trying to get the ball back, but they're not able to do it. St. Francis wins the possession. 23.5 minutes to play. First half, no score. Rolled out of bounds. With possession going to the Cougars. Pushed down the sideline by Quevedo. And halted very quickly. Here's Gonzalez off the pass from O'Connor. Pushed ahead, looking for Litzy Flores. Didn't have her. Intercepted by St. Xavier. They're in control along the near sideline. Henry. Pass is intercepted. Good play by Gonzalez. Saints looking for the first goal of the game. Are on the attack. Off the foot of O'Connor. Maybe a little too hard on the pass. Maybe misjudged slightly by O'Connor. However you want to call it. Pass wasn't made. It wasn't completed. We're just past the halfway point of the opening half. Almost 23 minutes in. No score, although it's been a good game so far. A couple of chances for both teams. Neither side has been able to push one through. 2 shots on goal for the Fighting, or rather for the Cougars. 1 for the Fighting Saints. On the sideline, taken away by St. Xavier. Nearly intercepted back by St. Francis, but not quite. Here's Henry chasing it down. Haley Henry walks across midfield. Passed ahead and over to the sideline, Quevedo. Mansky makes the pass towards the center. Controlled off one touch, deflected. Good defense by St. Francis. And they're able to get out of it with no shot from the Cougars and ends up dying in front of the net. Picked up by Giselle Mata. High punt, lands short of midfield, deflected back to the defensive end for St. Xavier. Hope Lewis pushes it downfield to a striker. Couldn't quite hook up with Alex Janitis. That's out for a St. Francis throw. Both teams hanging in there right now. St. Xavier has been dominant defensively really for the last month and a half of the season. I mentioned at the beginning of the game, these are two of the best goalies in the CCAC. Giselle Mata averaging, to allow less than one per game, 0.82. Same isn't true of Natalie Dybas, as that ball is picked up by Mata. But Dybas has been as good as that in the last month and a half. She and St. Xavier have only allowed 2 goals in their last 8 games. Pretty impressive number right there as it's knocked out of bounds for a St. Francis throw right at midfield. However, the offense has gone dry. The results haven't entirely been there over the last month. They went on a stretch from September 17th to September 27th, an 11-day stretch in which they played 4 games and scored 13 goals. In fact, they outscored their opponents 13-0 in those 4 games as Dybas punts it downfield on the far side. Going right back to her. Let's see if she picks it up and punts it again. Looks like that's just what she's going to do. She's already done half of it. Picked it up, and now she punts it away. This time down the middle of the field. Nobody initially there, but it is touched first by St. Xavier. Vicky Ferrer passes back to Hope Lewis. Lewis slows things down. 19 minutes to play, first half. Forced ahead to Mansky and out of her reach. That pass was a little bit behind Maddie Mansky. So she let it go out. St. Francis throws it in. Still in a dangerous zone for the Fighting Saints. Henry touches it once. It's intercepted. After outscoring their opponents 13-0 over a 4-game stretch, Cougars have played 4 more games, and over their current 4-game stretch, they've been held to a grand total of 1 goal. In fact, they've been outscored 2-1 over the last 4 games. Not a whole lot of offense when St. Xavier has been involved over the last month. The 0-0 score we've got here today, 27 minutes in, is not a surprising number. As for St. Francis, they're one of the higher scoring teams around. 3-game winning streak. They've scored 9 times during those 3 games, outscoring their opponents 9-2. Five of those goals did come in 1 game. That was against Mount Mary. The last time they played at home, 11 days ago, 10 days ago. Today is the 14th. That was October 4th, so 10 days ago. Figure things out as long as I'm looking at a camera. Cleared by St. Xavier. Cross midfield. Whistle blows. We're going to get a stoppage here with 17 minutes and 12 seconds showing on the clock. An injured player on the far end of the field right now for the Cougars. Hopefully she's all right. No score. St. Xavier and St. Francis after almost a half hour of play. As I've been detailing, it's not a huge surprise that we've had a defensive showdown so far. It's about what I was expecting, at least. Can't speak for anybody else. But I was figuring on a defensive game when you consider how good these 2 defenses have been. And in the case of St. Xavier, how much they've struggled offensively in recent weeks. Ready to go once again. It's St. Francis ball out of the injury stoppage. Lewis passes to her right. Claire Heim downfield. Taken away by the Fighting Saints. And too far out in front of Flores down the far sideline. That rolls out of bounds. Throw in coming up for the Fighting Saints as they look to end this stalemate and score a goal as we start to make our way close to the late stages of the first half. Going the other way this time on the throw. Saints take it away. They're on the move. Into the middle of the field, it's O'Connor. O'Connor bobs and weaves, passes back. She gets it right back on the far side. O'Connor can't make this defender miss. Trying to free herself up, not able to get in space. Passed into the middle field instead and deflected away. Great defense on O'Connor, not allowing her to turn and face the net. Here's Cara Planetta. She's being worked on tightly as well. Back to Flores. Or Diaz, rather. Saints are able to start their next attack again. Charlene Mendoza loses the ball. It rolls weakly back into the box where it's legal to touch it for the goalkeeper. And Divas does just that, scooping up that loose ball. Just about 15 minutes remain in the first half. Here come the Cougars. Vicky Ferrer passes ahead. Janitis gives to Mansky. Into the box, there's a shot, and it's just a little bit wide to the left. Mata made a diving effort for it, just barely out of her reach. And all she could do was lie on the ground and watch and hope that it wouldn't find the back. It didn't. It rolled out of bounds on the left side. We're still tied. I know we're only about a third of the way into the game. But the way it's gone from a defensive perspective, it already feels a little bit like next goal's going to win. Not necessarily 1-0. Not saying there can only be one more goal scored in this game, just that whoever can take the lead is really in control, because I don't think there are going to be a lot of goals. Planetta dances, passes to her left. This time she kicks it with her left foot and is able to find O'Connor. O'Connor blows by one defender to her left. Passed into the middle of the field. Dribbling around, it's finally given up. Planetta fires a shot from long range and an easy stop by Natalie Dybas. Barely had to move her feet for that one. Risky shot from Cara Planetta, very aggressive. But she has seen firsthand how difficult it is to score tonight. Doesn't want to waste any opportunities. Mata steps up and wastes an opportunity for the other team. St. Xavier not able to get a clean shot off. Just under 13 minutes to play in the first half. O'Connor tried to get around the defender, Quevedo. Quevedo was able to hold her ground. Good defense, good takeaway from St. Xavier, but they don't hold on to it for very long. Pushed up the middle of the field. It's intercepted there by Veronica Davila. Down into the corner, looking for a setup. There it is, and there's nobody there to receive it. Knocked loose by the Saints. There's an interception from Quevedo. Working along the sideline. Defense in position for St. Francis. Cougars have nowhere to go. So they end up going all the way back defensively, and they restart from the defensive half of the field. Reversing to the far sideline. It's in possession of the defense again. Hope Lewis, wearing the captain's armband, steps up to her left. Passes to her right instead. Good passing from St. Xavier. Sets up a run down into the corner. Crossed right in front of the net and deflected towards the back line. That's out of bounds. Mata tried to dive on top of the ball. She was hoping to prevent a corner kick, and she wasn't able to do it. So with just under 11 minutes to play in the first half, it is indeed our first corner kick of the night. There's the pass, there's the header, and there's the save from Giselle Mata. Off the initial header, I thought maybe that was going off the post. It looked like it had arched enough that it was not going to hit the crossbar, but would probably, had there not been a goalkeeper there, dropped into the net. And even if the goalkeeper was there but didn't raise her hands, it might have just dropped in right behind her for a score. But Mata did step up. She made the play. She continues to play strong, not just today, but throughout this season. Her save percentage is now right up around 90. How many saves does she have today? She needed 4 to raise it to 90%. Obviously, without allowing a goal. That's part of it as well. Well, let's see. Today, she's got 3 saves. So she needs 1 more to make it 90%. And even 90%, you can already round it up there. Here comes the free kick from Lewis. She decides to play it short to her fellow defender, Quevedo. Good ball movement again. Dribbled into the box. Mata steps up. The shot gets past her, but it's wide to the left. It's deflected out of bounds for a corner kick. Second corner kick of the night. They've both come in just the last couple of minutes. This time it's from the near side with under 9 minutes to play in the half. Right in front of the net, Planeta deflects it. Still loose in the box. Now knocked out of the box. Here's Mansky. Maddie Mansky loses it. Fight for position, and Flores and Mansky get tied up with one another. I think we're going to see a booking here. It looks like Mansky is being shown a yellow card. Flores, kind of like a basketball player, was just boxing out Maddie Mansky there, trying to get position of the ball, and she did it perfectly. And Mansky took exception to it, grabbed her by the shirt, and she gets a yellow card as a result. So it's our first yellow card of the night, given to number 14, Maddie Mansky of St. Xavier. 8:36 remaining on the clock here in the first half. Still no score, but a free kick for St. Francis pushes the ball in the right direction for them. Isabel Diaz trying to get control of it. She doesn't, but it is knocked out of bounds by St. Xavier. Planeta tosses it in. And it's deflected right back out of bounds by the Saints. Cougars get the throw. Veronica Davila kicks it over her head and across midfield. Fight for the ball now, won by St. Xavier. Hope Lewis backs up. Chased down by Mia Okano. Okano's always running. making things a little bit uncomfortable for Lewis and the Cougars. And eventually, St. Francis is able to take it away. Push down the far sideline. And we got an offsides call. Flag went up on the opposite end of the field to where they were. The near end of the field to where our camera is. Still no score. We're down to 7.5 minutes remaining in the first half. It's been an entertaining first half. A couple of chances for both teams, but when they've had them, the goalkeepers have stepped up in a big way. Everything's been very even so far. That's the way things have gone for St. Xavier of late. They've tied 3 of their last 4 matches, and on the one hand, St. Francis is leading the conference. So St. Xavier can even get 1 point off of them on a tie. It'd be something to feel proud of. On the other hand, they can move into the lead for the conference with a win against the Fighting Saints today. So a tie is really not good enough for them. Nor is it for St. Francis, although it'd be better for them than for St. Xavier. But they're trying to hold off a couple of teams right behind them in the standings. Here's a run for St. Francis. Good move. Passed down into the corner, looking for a cross. Another nice move. There's a shot deflected out the sideline, down in the corner. We'll get a throw in. Good defense from the Cougars. Prevents St. Francis from coming up with their first goal of the night. St. Francis has scored at least once in 4 consecutive games. At least twice in 3 straight. Out of bounds. Throw in for the Saints, under 6 minutes to play in the half. Two defenders in the way. One of them is able to reach between the legs of Okana and tap it out for another throw. Headed back inwards this time, but St. Xavier's able to take it away. They lose possession, but they'll get it back as a whistle blows. A foul is called on the Fighting Saints. Free kick coming up for SXU as we approach the 5-minute mark remaining in the first half. On the far side of the field, St. Xavier controls it towards the midfield circle. They're just not able to get it forward. They haven't been able to get it across midfield the last 20 seconds or so. Finally, they do. First one to touch it is a Saint. And Fighting Saints possession here with about 4.5 minutes left in the first half. Trying to make their way downfield and put some pressure on the Cougars as they look to break this scoreless tie. Headed back and forth. Drops into the attacking zone for the Saints, but they lose possession shortly after. To the outside, just across midfield. Rolled down the far sideline. And over the bench of St. Francis. Not a great angle on that kick. A throw in for the Saints. High kick out of bounds. Again, right over the St. Francis bench. The throw in coming up for the Saints. We're running out of time to get a goal on the board before halftime. We still have another 45 minutes of the second half in front of us, so this game can have a lot of twists and turns still to come as the ball is sent into the box, cleared by St. Francis. But as I said before, and not that they're playing for a tie, but for St. Francis, a tie would be more beneficial than it would for St. Xavier. As Mia Okana makes a long run for that ball, can't quite reach it. Lewis and Quevedo get there first. Good job by the two of them. That could have been very dangerous as O'Connor sped down the field. Planetta tosses it in. Controlled by St. Xavier. And taken away by Isabel Diaz. Hasn't done a ton this half. Diaz is the leading goal scorer on the season with 10. Second on the team with 3 assists. Has not been a huge part of the offense so far tonight, but that could change in the second half. As we come down to 2 minutes remaining in the first. Free kick coming up from right along the sideline for St. Xavier. Taken by Hope Lewis. Headed back to midfield. Back line of defense for St. Francis and rolled out of bounds. Fighting Saints came into play today, 16 points, first place in the conference. St. Xavier is at 15 points in conference play. They've played one more game than the Fighting Saints have. Scooped up by Giselle Mata. So a win for St. Xavier would move them into first place in the conference, but the Saints have a game in hand over both them and St. Ambrose, who's also right up there with them. Turn towards the sideline, out of bounds. We're under a minute to play in the half, so we'll see if either team makes a serious push. The Cougars don't appear to be in a big hurry as they toss it in. The Saints can get one more defensive stop. Probably it for St. Xavier's chances. We'll see if they can do it here. It for their chances this half, that is. Saints are already running out of time. We'll see if they have one counterattack in them, if they are able to come up with that stop. Right now, though, it is still St. Xavier working their way forward. A foul is called on St. Francis, and the clock is stopped at 27 seconds. Look from here like the two Cougars players may have actually gotten tangled up with each other, but that's not the way the officials saw it. So the clock stops at 27 seconds, giving the Cougars one chance to set up for the set piece here. Lewis sends it ahead to Quevedo. Quevedo pushes it downfield, staying near the sideline, and Cougars are running out of time as they push it back to midfield. And they might not have enough time for one final strike. Clock is down to 10. And the Saints do clear it, so that should do it for the first half. They let the play roll on, and the half comes to a close. No score between St. Francis and St. Xavier after a competitive first half of play. Very evenly matched game so far. This has been a good one. We'll see if the second half delivers on the same promise. 0-0. I'll be back in about 15 minutes. I'll get you some first half stats, and we'll be ready to go for the second half as well. 45 minutes of soccer still in front of us. Scoreless so far in Joliet. Just about time to start the second half here at Joliet Memorial Stadium in Joliet, Illinois. It's St. Francis and St. Xavier. Terry Bonadonna with you on the call for today's matchup. And we're tied after 45 minutes of play, 0-0. The score is obviously even, but the stats up and down the sheet are pretty even right now as well. St. Francis has outshot St. Xavier 6-5. Shots on goal, 3-2 in favor of the Cougars. Fouls are pretty much even. 6 committed by St. Xavier, 5 by St. Francis. And of course, the Fighting Saints goalkeeper, Giselle Mata, has made 3 saves, while the Cougars goalie has made 2, Natalie Dybas, who has been about as hot as any goalkeeper in the conference. Mata's been as good as any goalkeeper in the conference all season. Fighting Saints retake the field. They'll be going from right to left in the second half and shooting into the north goal. St. Xavier will be going left to right, shooting into the south goal. Both teams take the field. It'll be an interesting second half. As I've been saying, the first half was so evenly matched. I don't know if that's what we'll see here in the second half, but I would imagine St. Xavier is going to make a few pushes. Offensively, this game means a little bit more to them just in terms of the conference standings. If they want to have any chance at winning the CCAC this year, they pretty much have to win this one. St. Francis would like a win very much, and it would be hugely beneficial to them in their hopes for winning the conference, but they could tie and still win out, and they would probably still be at the top of the CCAC at the end of the season. There's a nice start for the half of St. Francis as Isabel Diaz steals it. There's a shot quickly, and it is saved on a diving effort by Natalie Dybas. It was probably the best scoring chance that the Saints have had all game. Came less than 30 seconds into the second half. St. Xavier takes possession back. The other thing to keep in mind for the Cougars, as far as are they going to put a little more pressure on St. Francis, maybe take a few more chances offensively. This is a team that has struggled mightily over the last month of the season. After they were scoring at will early this year, just hasn't been the case lately. Over their first 9 games of the year, they scored multiple goals 7 times. And now they have just 1 goal total over their last 4. Sliding stop by Giselle Mata. She came way out of the net right there. Took a little bit of a chance with the offense bearing down on her, but she was able to make the play. So Mata grabs that one for the Fighting Saints. And it is punted away by Mata across midfield. Off one deflection, stolen by St. Xavier. But with that in mind, those Cougars' offensive struggles, they might have to change the game plan a little bit to move somebody up, to move maybe multiple people up, to make a little bit more of an effort to turn this into an offensive game. Their defense has been fine. Into the middle of the field, right in front of the net, and Mata dives on top of it. Heads up play by Giselle Mata. That one just kind of squeaked by everybody. It was just laying out there right in front of the goal. It wasn't a shot, but if Mata had let it go, she was in serious trouble of somebody stepping in on the back end of the play and tapping it in. Instead, she is able to jump on top of it, keep the ball alive, keep the shutout intact for both teams. Almost 3 minutes into the second half, we still have no score. It's a chilly night here in mid-October. I think probably the coolest weather we've had for a game here this year, although it is very seasonal temperatures right now. Upper 50s. It was low 60s when the game started. This is where you'd expect it to be this time of year. We're nearing the end of things. Just 2 weeks to go in the CCAC regular season. Turned to the left. St. Xavier makes a move to the far side of the field. Knocked loose and out of bounds. That was last touched by St. Xavier. Saints haven't really had the ball much over the first 3.5 minutes of the second half. It's been all Cougars. Saints have taken it away a few times and lost it right away. They had it very briefly in the opening minute of the half when St. Xavier took the opening kick of the half, and then St. Francis 25 seconds later took it away, immediately turned it into a shot. And the best save of the night by Natalie Dybas kept the Saints scoreless. So they had their best scoring chance of the game, but that's really the only time they've had the ball for that 10-second stretch. Back towards midfield. Saints still struggling to gain possession. And finally they do. It's Mia Okana who turns it upfield. But Hope Lewis is there to make the immediate stop. So now it's St. Xavier again, making their way left to right down the field. This is going to go St. Xavier's way. Looked like a free kick, a foul called right along the sideline. St. Xavier decides to play it short. They've got everybody up now, though. Big chance for the Cougars. St. Francis trying to come up with a stop as that shot sails over the net. Alex Janitis was able to turn on one there. Sent it from about 25 yards out. Not a bad looking shot, but high by maybe 2 feet. So just a little bit out of the range of that net. Back towards midfield. Pushed ahead by St. Francis and nobody there to receive it. Everybody was still down on defense after that last push from St. Xavier. Saints act quickly here, though. Litzy Flores tosses it back in. There's a deflection from Lewis in front of the net, picked up by Dybas. So Dybas had made the good play a moment ago. It was really just her and Litzy Flores. She got there first, knocked it out of bounds, and then Flores went flying, wanted to move with that throw in before the Cougars could get themselves set defensively. The Cougars were still able to come up with a stop. There's a cross to the back post and a little bit too high for the intended target. And knocked out of bounds. St. Francis will get the throw here. Down the far sideline, bounces into no man's land, but it stays in play. So the Saints are able to track it down. We'll see if they can get a possession going here. It's been about 6.5 minutes consecutively with St. Xavier in control of the ball. St. Xavier's in control of the ball again here. Headed out of bounds by the Fighting Saints. No score, second half. Two teams battling near the top of the conference, along with a few other teams in there. It's still wide open at the moment. St. Francis came in with 16 points on the season, pushed ahead towards the corner. A chance here for the Fighting Saints. There's the cross, touched once by Flores. She turns around, takes a shot. It's deflected before it ever gets to the net. So no chance for Dybas to make the save. The defense did her job for her. St. Xavier takes it away. Rolled forward and grabbed by the goalkeeper, Giselle Mata. St. Ambrose, another one of those teams that's up near the top of the CCAC standings. St. Ambrose is the only team in conference this year to beat the Fighting Saints. Saints' one loss came at home against St. Ambrose back on the 27th of September. Run here for St. Francis. Push down into the box. There's a deflection once again by the Cougars defense. It takes a kick towards the back, though, and out of bounds along that end line. We're going to get a corner kick here. When Lewis initially knocked that ball away, it looked like it was going to go out for a throw-in. But it had some weird spin on it. It ended up kicking out the back line for a corner kick instead. So the first corner kick of the game for the Fighting Saints. Took them 54 minutes to get to this point, but we finally got a corner kick for the home team. Rolled in short. And deflected again. St. Xavier's defense doing a great job here of preventing these shots from going anywhere. The foul is called on a grab of St. Francis, so we'll go the other way with it. St. Ambrose has already won tonight. They beat Governor State, so officially as of this moment, they are the conference leaders with 18 points. St. Francis came into tonight as the conference leader with 16, so if they win, they'll remain ahead of St. Ambrose. If they tie, they'll be a point behind the Fighting Bees, but it is the Saints who have one more game to play than the Bees do. So positionally, they'd really still be ahead of St. Ambrose. Holy Cross is the other team that's right in the middle of things, along with the Saints and the Bees and the Cougars. Both of these teams have already played Holy Cross. St. Xavier just lost to them last weekend, 1-0. St. Francis played them a couple weeks ago and beat them 2-1. So that was a huge win for the Fighting Saints. In fact, Saints have already played St. Ambrose. They've already played Holy Cross. They're playing St. Xavier tonight. They've already played Viterbo as well. The V-Hawks are also still in the mix for the top spot, or one of the top spots in conference this year. So they've already played, not including themselves, the top 4 teams in the conference. So if they can come away with a win tonight, they will feel very good about their chances to end up winning the conference this year with 4 games remaining. At midfield, crowd wanted a foul on St. Xavier's. There was a little contact there, but it does not get called. Good crowd tonight. A lot of students out here for St. Francis. It's not a school night. No classes tomorrow, so might as well stay out late watching soccer. Just under 35 minutes to play in the game. We have no score. St. Francis able to step up defensively. I was talking a few minutes ago about how the Saints haven't really been able to sustain any possessions in the second half. That hasn't changed that much over the last few minutes, but neither of the Cougars. They haven't been able to go on any runs lately. The ball goes back into the hands of the goalkeeper, Natalie Divas. Wearing magenta, I think I've decided. The game's been played over the last 3 or 4 minutes, really, at the midfield. Two teams just going back and forth, nobody really gaining any progress. Towards the near sideline, long run. Deflected off of St. Xavier, but it stays in bounds. Claire Heim steps up on defense. Pass down into the corner. Paige Saw takes the shot, and Mata makes a diving save. Good save by Giselle Mata off the St. Xavier shot. Their second shot on goal this half, but they remain scoreless. It's their 5th shot on goal today. St. Francis has 3 of them. In the midfield circle, St. Xavier trying to gain some ground, but it's taken away. Saints make their move. Good ball movement, but nobody on the receiving end of that pass, and Dybas is able to scoop it up. Her punt sails across the midfield stripe. Headed right into the middle of the circle. Saints try to push ahead, and they're going to continue to try as a foul is called on St. Xavier. So a free kick for the Fighting Saints, 8 yards past midfield. Everybody is set for St. Francis. The kick is sent away right down the center of the field and headed back the other direction by the Cougars. Claire Heim controls it. And Heim sends it back to midfield and across. This is Giannitis on the run. Alex Giannitis working quickly, fires a shot, and it's saved by Mata right at the chest of Giselle Mata. A laser beam off the right foot of Alex Giannitis, but she's not able to get it past the keeper. Another save for St. Francis's star in net, Giselle Mata, the junior from Carpentersville, Illinois, transfer from College of Lake County. Didn't have to move her feet very much for that save. Giannitis ended up putting it right on her. That's a nice ball, trying to get it through, and not quite in play initially, but Litzy Flores is able to keep it alive. Possession for St. Francis is lost as Gonzalez stumbled a little bit. It's out of bounds for a Fighting Saints throw-in. Subs coming in for both sides here. Looks like Jimena Diaz is coming in for the Fighting Saints. Possession won by St. Xavier. This is Mansky. Mansky's ball's deflected, poked free by the St. Francis midfield. Now a battle for the ball between Mansky and Flores. Mansky wins it and kicks it out of bounds along the sideline. Throw in coming up for the Fighting Saints. Tossed into Isabel Diaz. Diaz tries to get it to Okana, but before she can, a whistle blows. A foul is called against St. Xavier. Things are starting to get a little bit more physical out there. Fighting Saints will get a free kick from just past midfield. Well, if nothing else, they have really slowed down the St. Xavier attack. After the first handful of minutes here in the second half, the Cougars seem to be constantly on the attack. Lately, they have not been. They got a shot off a few moments ago, but that was kind of an isolated incident within the last 10 minutes of the game. Kelly Flores takes the free kick, sends it high to the opposite end of the field. Deflected back to Isabel Diaz, and Diaz's ball can't find a receiver. It ends up going out of bounds for a goal kick. You know, we're not tracking possession time, but if we were, I'd say it's pretty darn close to even right now. Shots remain close to even, although St. Xavier's had a few more opportunities here in the second half than St. Francis has. Particularly when it comes not to total shots, but to shots on goal. They're pretty even in terms of the number of chances. I think St. Xavier's had a few more legitimate chances on balls that have actually reached the net. Saints have taken a lot of shots that have been deflected by defenders. This one is picked up by the goalkeeper, but not on a shot. Natalie Dybas punts it away. The number of fouls have picked up a bit, a few more on St. Xavier over the last few minutes. They've committed 8 of them, 6 on St. Francis. There's a shot that's deflected before it reaches the net. Cougars get it back. They'll try it again. To the right side, it's Giannitis. Giannitis' pass is nearly intercepted, deflected, sent back through. Giannitis takes the shot. Diving stop by Mata, but on the back end, it's pushed through. And that goal is going to be good, it looks like. No offsides. St. Xavier strikes first, 28:03 on the clock, and the Cougars are on the board. In the 62nd minute, off the save from Mata, the goal ends up coming in as Mata deflected it. And I think it was Maddie Mansky. I'll try to get confirmation on that, but I think it was Mansky who came in on the backside of the play and just tapped it in. Good play by her. It looks like it was Mansky. The initial shot came from Alex Giannitis, who set that whole thing up. Janitis was the one who was able to get through the defense, take the initial shot that was saved by Mata. And then Mansky cleaned it up. So it's 1-0. St. Xavier's on top. We'll see if the Fighting Saints have a response. St. Francis has not been shut out since September 23rd when they ended up with a 0-0 draw at Olivet Nazarene. That's another one of those top teams in the conference that I didn't mention earlier. But Olivet's another team that's right near the top. Jumbled up mess near the top of this conference, but the Olivet Nazarene Tigers are in St. Francis's rearview mirror as well. So another reason that if they're able to win this game, or even if they can come back and tie it, they're in really good shape to win this conference. Nice move in the middle of the field. Here come the Fighting Saints. Deflected. Pushed down the far side. Long run towards the sideline and kept in bounds. Worked into the box, pushed in front of the net and cleared by St. Xavier. Saints get it right back. Flores and Diaz on the push. Mia Okana works her way around a few defenders. Pass deflected, stolen by St. Xavier. Good defense by the Cougars. The goal for Mansky a couple of minutes ago was her 4th of the season. It's tied with Paige Swaw for the second most on the team. She's only played in 10 games, 10 of her team's 14, and she has 4 goals and 4 assists. So it's been a big year for the senior Maddie Mansky. Originally from Orland Park, Illinois, so right down the street from St. Xavier, but it took her a while to get here. This is her 4th school rather, in the last 5 years. Long range shot from, I think that was Davila on the shot. Sent it wide to the left and out of bounds. That game against Olivet Nazarene, September 23rd, was the last time that they've been shut out this year. The only other time was on September 3rd, a non-conference game against Mount Mercy. That was also a 0-0 tie. So St. Francis has been shut out twice this year. They have not lost either game. So all of that bodes well if you're a Saints fan right now. Worried about the fact they're down 1-0 with less than 25 minutes to play. They are not typically held down for a full 90-minute stretch. That's an impressive stat. And it'll be over if they don't score today, but to get this late into the season and to not have a shutout loss is pretty good. Again, they have been shut out twice, but both of those were 0-0 ties. Foul called on St. Xavier. The Saints will get a free kick from near the sideline. Flores takes her time getting it set up as the clock runs down under 24 minutes for the game. High ball right in front of the net, headed up into the air towards the edge of the box. Saints still able to control it. There's a shot that goes towards the back line. Dybus is able to fall on top of it. Nothing doing for St. Francis on that attempt. And we play on with St. Xavier ahead 1-0. For St. Xavier, and I've already mentioned this a few times tonight, the last time they've scored more than 1 in any match, you have to go all the way back to September 27th. They've been held to either 1 or 0 goals in 4 straight coming into play today. So you combine those two stats, the Saints very seldom get shut out. And the Cougars, at least lately, have not been scoring very much. There should be opportunities for St. Francis to come back here as that shot from the Cougars goes wide and out of bounds to the left. We've got a goal kick coming up for St. Francis. It's not to say that the trends will hold, just based on past performances. You're certainly not going to count the Saints out as we reach the halfway point of this second half. 3/4 of the game are behind us. In the midfield circle, nice touch. Kept alive by Isabel Diaz. Diaz fires it down the far sideline. Saints will have a chance here. Cutting into the box, there's the shot, and it's wide after the deflection. We'll get a corner kick. Corner kick on the far end of the field. It's the second corner kick we've seen from St. Francis today. Both this half. St. Xavier had 2 of them last half, so every corner kick we've seen has been on this side of the field. That shot goes high and out of bounds. So a chance off the corner kick, but St. Francis does not score. Still 1-0. St. Xavier on top. Maddie Mansky scored her 4th goal of the year in the 62nd minute. That's where we're at right now. The only goal of the night. Taken away from Mansky that time by Citlali Perez. Long run near side, out of bounds. On the sideline, it is poked out. So go the Saints' way. They got a sub coming in. Looks like Charlene Mendoza is coming out. Got to look at who is coming in for her. Ari Gonzalez is back in the game. See if she can make a few plays down the stretch. She played well in the first half. There's a player down at midfield for St. Francis. She hasn't gotten up yet. Play has not been stopped. As it goes on for St. Xavier on the attack, and now finally as the ball goes out of bounds, we will stop play and stop the clock with 20 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in the second half. 1-0. St. Xavier has the lead. I haven't gotten a look at who the injured player is yet for St. Francis. She hasn't made any move towards getting up yet. Down on her back. And as the training staff comes out to have a look at her, both teams will go to their sidelines and use this as an extra unscheduled break. 1-0. St. Xavier has the lead. They scored their goal about 8 minutes ago on a ball that initially Mata had saved off a shot from Janitis. On a dive, she was able to deflect it towards the back post, but Mansky was waiting on that back post to make the play. And she was able to tap it in to make it a 1-0 score. That's where we've been ever since. Chances for both sides are updated. Look at the stats right now. St. Francis has taken 13 shots. St. Xavier has taken 12. Cougars have more shots on goal, 6 of them compared to 3. Mata has made 5 saves. Natalie Dybas has made 3 saves to maintain a shutout. Fouls right now are 9 and 6. 9 called against St. Xavier, 6 against St. Francis. Each team has 1 yellow card. We've only seen offsides called once all night. Corner kicks right now are 2-2. As I mentioned a moment ago, they've all come from the same side of the field. I was going to say the same corner, but one of the 4 came from the opposite corner, but all on the same side of the field anyway. They're working to get the injured player up. Still down at midfield, and she's on her feet. Kelly Flores walking off towards the sideline. She looks to be okay, at least for the moment, so hopefully she's able to get back in the game in a little bit. She won't be able to play in the short term. She was down for a while, so the fact that she was able to get up and walk on her own off the field is a pretty good sign for her, and very good sign for the Fighting Saints as well. They're going to need her over the course of the rest of this game, certainly over the course of this season as they try to fight for a conference championship, but specifically in this game, down 1-0 with just over 20 minutes remaining. They need all the help they can get if they try to push their way back in. If they win this one, they are very much in the driver's seat to win the conference. If they tie it, they're still in really good shape. If they lose, they're not in bad shape, but they would fall behind a couple of teams with a loss today, including St. Xavier, who would move 2 points ahead of them. Down the sideline on that kick, out of bounds, far side, just past midfield. Saints throw it in. They do so very quickly. Knocked out of bounds, and we'll see if the Saints work just as quickly here. Looks like it. No, now they do slow it down. Into the box, knocked away by St. Xavier. Front of the net, fight for possession. There's the shot, and it's stopped by Divas. Nearly went in. Her body actually dropped back behind the line in the net, but the ball stayed in front and she was able to punch it down. Good save by Divas. She's still got a shutout going. That's her 4th save of the night. She came into play today averaging about 5 saves per game. She's on track for that again today. Claire Heim is able to knock it free. Pushed across midfield. St. Xavier still in control, and not anymore. Mia Okana is able to jump in front. 3-on-3 on their way down the field. Okana is able to blow by one defender, crossed in front of the net, and not able to stay on her feet to take the shot. Saints get it back, but the Cougars defense gets back in force. And this time they're able to stop it no problem. That was a good-looking setup from the Fighting Saints. Couldn't quite finish it off. Ball is rolled towards the back line, ticketed for out of bounds, and it's going to be a goal kick. Goal kick after a substitution for the Fighting Saints. Charlene Mendoza's back in for Ari Gonzalez. Gonzalez is the one who stumbled on that last play. Wasn't able to get the shot off. To the sideline and knocked out by Mansky. Saints will toss it back in. Kept in bounds. Saints on the move, deflected out of bounds again. Jasmine Valles is trying to work it up the field on the throw-ins. Down to 17 minutes to play. And deflected out of bounds this time by Jimena Diaz of St. Francis. So Heim will toss it in for the Cougars. Good steal. Isabel Diaz takes it away immediately, but Diaz loses it just as quickly. Foul called on the Saints as Davila hits the deck. Free kick coming up for St. Xavier. Hope Lewis steps up from the defensive line to take the free kick on one bounce right to the net, and Giselle Mata grabs it for the Fighting Saints. So a long-range shot from Hope Lewis. Comes up empty. Here come the Fighting Saints again. Still a lot of time left, but it's starting to get late enough that the Fighting Saints are going to have to get a little bit more aggressive offensively pretty soon. Still needing 2 goals in order to win this one. Again, they take a tie. They'd rather win, obviously. I guess that goes without saying. But just in terms of the conference standings, a tie does them a lot more good than it does St. Xavier. The Cougars need to win this one. Rolled to the outside. Vanessa Diaz pushes it downfield. A little bit out of the reach of Heim. Kelly Flores is back in for St. Francis, just checked in from the far sideline. That's good to see. She has been on the bench the last 5 minutes after leaving with an injury, but she's apparently all right. It's not Vanessa Diaz for St. Xavier, but Flores. Angelica Flores wearing number 28 for the Cougars today. Throw in for St. Xavier on the near side. Heim goes in short. Diaz tried to jump in front, and Heim looked like maybe she panicked a little bit with Diaz running at her. So she kicks it out of bounds. Fighting Saints could use a little something from Isabel Diaz here. She's played well, but the leading goal scorer, 10 of them on the season. She's got 23 points this season, near the top of the conference in a lot of statistical categories, including goals and points. She may need something here. St. Xavier's able to take it away on defense. Diaz and Kelly Flores for the Saints are both in the top 5 in the CCAC in terms of shots taken. So the two big catalysts on the offense, along with Mia Okana, are both out there. Flores has the ball right now, back in after that injury. Cost her 5 minutes into this game. That rolls right by Flores. And St. Xavier's Flores is able to step in and make the play. 3 Floreses out on the field right now. Litzy and Kelly for St. Francis and Angelica for St. Xavier. I can't handle it. I'm going to make up nicknames for all of them. No, I don't think I am going to do that, actually. You can make up nicknames for them in your mind. St. Xavier's able to steal that pass from Mata into the box. Looking for help on the back end. Deflected by the Saints and cleared by St. Francis. Let's see if they've got a counterattack in them. It's Diaz. Flores pushes ahead. Intercepted by St. Xavier. Flores was trying to find Okana out in front of the Cougars, but was not able to get the ball through. Tapped into the middle of the field. Ball gets through, but a little bit too hot. St. Francis is able to come up with a defensive stop. Rolled out of bounds. Last touched by the defense. That's the Fighting Saints in that case. Knocked out this time by the Cougars. Saints get the throw on the far end of the field. Trying to make a late run. It's been a while since they've been able to mount a scoring threat. And they are running out of time as we approach the 11-minute mark of the second half. Been about 17 minutes since St. Xavier scored their first and only goal. The only goal either team has scored today. St. Francis in possession now. Turned and fired downfield, and nothing there for the Fighting Saints. Flores not able to control that one for the Saints. Down the far sideline. Who gets there first? It's going to stay in bounds. St. Xavier is able to get on it. Knocked free and out the sideline. So a throw in coming up for the Cougars. Just by using their speed and aggressiveness there, St. Xavier was able to force the throw in and keep possession. They had let off just a little bit there. Giselle Mata would have been able to scoop it up. And we'd already be going the other way down the field right now. We are going to go down the field the other way now as it's knocked out by St. Xavier. So the Saints throw it in. Right back out of bounds on the far end. Kept in this time, but back to St. Francis. Under 10 minutes to play now. It'll go the Cougars' way. Turn towards the far sideline. Cougars hold on. Passed across field. That's Flores, knocked away from her. And the Saints can't quite gain possession. Rolled back across midfield. Cougars are in no huge rush here, just playing keep away a little bit. They'd love to add another goal. One more would pretty much put this one away. But at this point, they'll settle for the amount they've got as long as they can keep St. Francis's offense off balance. Cougars have it right now. 3 gold shirts around, but none of them are able to take the ball away. Knocked loose in the box. Not cleared just yet. Here comes a shot, deflected before it gets to the net. Still loose in the box, but I don't think Mansky's going to be able to get another shot off. This time, Giselle Mata picks it up. Good defense by the Saints, keeping them alive in this game. And now as they run short on time, Mata's high punt goes short. Right off of Planeta. And the Saints get it back. It doesn't look like it. Not right there. Flores takes it away from Isabel Diaz. To the near side. It's Heim. Heim passes off to Angelica Flores. Flores working against a pair of St. Francis defenders. Keeps it alive, going back to Hope Lewis on the defense. Good play by St. Xavier. Again, just running clock, playing keep away. Tossed in with 7.5 minutes remaining. Ball loose at midfield. St. Xavier there to play it. Flores jumps in, nearly takes it away, and she does. Flores was fouled. That's why she lost the ball. So a foul called on St. Xavier. 7:17 to play as the clock stops. We're late in the game, so the clock stops on the yellow card given to St. Xavier. I didn't see which player that was given to. I'm going to look in a minute. Still 1-0. St. Francis. The clock does stop on the yellow card. And now the free kick is taken by Kelly Flores. Flores sends it into the box, headed back the other direction. Flores steps back up. Diaz has possession right now. Diaz taps it to her left. 2 defenders in her way. She can't get around the 2 of them. Yellow card was given to Vicky Ferrer. This is Mansky making the run. She scored the goal earlier. This time looking to pick up an assist to Janitis, who takes the shot. Great save by Giselle Mata. Out for a corner kick. So a stay of execution for St. Francis as Mata makes the great play to keep this game at 1 goal. But a corner kick now for St. Xavier gives them a chance to, number 1, keep possession, and number 2, maybe score 1 more goal to put it away. They had a chance to right there. It was Mansky setting up Janitis, which was the reverse of their first goal, which was scored by Mansky off an assist from Janitis. Goal kick headed quickly by St. Francis, and they can't launch a counterattack. St. Xavier starting to make their way back defensively as the ball is sent forward for Mia Okana. We'll see if Okana can make something happen. Her pass to Litzy Flores is intercepted and sent all the way back to Giselle Mata. Getting late here. Giselle Mata punts it towards the midfield circle. Here's Okana. Nifty ball work from Okana. Tapped ahead for Kelly Flores. Then pushed further downfield. Saints in control right now. Good ball onside. A chance for the Saints, but the shot goes well wide to the right. That was a beautiful ball from Charlene Mendoza. And just an awkward shot after that, as there was just one player to beat, Natalie Divas. And Divas put herself in position to at least shield the net so that the Saints couldn't get a good look at the net. So Isabel Diaz was kind of thrown off balance a little bit, and something you don't see from her very often. Just a very awkward shot, well wide. Far side of the field, St. Xavier trying to hold on. Saints aren't able to take it away as the ball shoots down the far sideline towards the end and out of bounds for a goal kick. And St. Francis showing a little urgency now, running after every ball on every stoppage. No time to waste anymore. Mansky rolls it over to Flores. Tapped right back to Mansky on the sideline. Cross is intercepted and knocked free by the Fighting Saints towards the sideline. It's going the Cougars' way. Lobbed in. The shot is taken by Veronica Davila out of bounds. Another Saints goal kick here as the clock winds down to 4 minutes remaining. Knocked up near midfield. The Saints not able to control it. Jimena Diaz went after it. Cougars take it away, and a whistle blows. We've got a foul here on the Cougars. So again, the Saints operate quickly, and now they slow it down. Everybody pushing up. Kick is taken. Tapped once to Diaz. Isabel Diaz's ball is intercepted. Stolen by Angelica Flores and knocked out of bounds. Going the Saints' way. Valles tosses it in. It's Diaz. Diaz, 2 defenders on her. Mansky taps it off her foot out of bounds. Under 3 minutes to play as Valles tosses it in, headed back by Claire Heim. Valles tries to get it back to Diaz. Diaz unable to control it. Litzy Flores deflects it out of bounds. Tossed in along the sideline. Sent packing by St. Xavier. That's a big clearance right there. That'll run some clock. By the next time St. Francis is able to get into scoring range, might be under 2 minutes here. It's going to be later than that even as St. Xavier gets the throw. And contrary to the Saints, when they get those throw-ins, they'll take as much time as they possibly can. Lost out of bounds there by Flores. Saints get the throw. And from the defense, they try to start the attack. At midfield, ball won by Davila. Davila sends it ahead for the Cougars, who are in control of the ball right now and in control of the game. with well under 2 minutes to play. Lewis turns it around and sends it out of bounds. Throw in from just past midfield for the Fighting Saints. Too far out of the range of Jimena Diaz. Tough ball control for the Saints. Cougars run some more clock as we near the 1 minute mark. Down the far side of the field. Push right back into the center. Looking for another shot. Rolled out in front of the net. Defenders in the way, and Cougars aren't able to get a shot off yet. Now they finally do, and it sails over the net and out of bounds. Goal kick for the Fighting Saints, and they'll mount one last run towards the net. Cougars take it back. This is Janitis. Janitis rolls it out into no man's land, but it runs a few more seconds off the clock. And the Saints get a throw here. Still haven't been able to get it back across midfield over the last minute. And they're running out of time to do so. St. Xavier's content to let this ball just dribble out towards the out-of-bounds marker. And finally it does go out. But it's probably too late at this point for the Saints. They'll get a throw in from the corner. Or it's a free kick, sorry, from the corner. Can they get one more shot off? No, they're not going to be able to, as the free kick ends up going straight out of bounds. That'll do it for today's game. Cougars don't really even need to throw the ball back in. So they will, and hear the clock sound immediately afterwards. St. Xavier is able to score in the 62nd minute, and they come away with a 1-0 victory over St. Francis in a crucial CCAC matchup tonight. Good game. Back and forth. A lot of evenly matched plays, but in the end, St. Xavier is able to make the one big play in the critical moment when they need to, as they end up with a very big 1-0 victory. With this victory, St. Xavier improves to 6-4-4 overall. They improve to 5-1-3 in conference. Their first victory since a 4-0 shellacking of Indiana South Bend back on September 27th. They have played one more conference game than St. Francis has, so even though they move now 2 points ahead of the Fighting Saints in the standings, the Saints are still in pretty good shape, knowing that they've got a game in hand. They fall to 5-2-1 in conference play. They are 8-3-2 overall for the year. Just a quick look at some of the stats today. Final total for shots, 16 taken by St. Xavier, 15 by St. Francis. The Cougars had 7 shots on goal. Consequently, 6 saves for Giselle Mata today. 4 shots on goal taken by the Saints, and 4 saves made by Natalie Dybas as she picks up the shutout. For Dybas, it is the 4th shutout this season. St. Xavier comes up with the victory. They had gone 0-1-3 in their previous 4 games, so a much-needed win for them. As for the Saints, the 1-0 loss is their first defeat since September 27th. They had won 3 in a row. The only goal, 62nd minute, scored by Maddie Mansky off the assist from Alex Janitis. Again, our final score, 1-0. St. Xavier comes away with the victory. That's going to do it for today's broadcast. Thanks for tuning in to what was a very exciting CCAC soccer matchup. Until next time, this is Terry Bonadonna signing off for the University of St. Francis from Joliet, Illinois. Good night, all.